It says preparing. You can see it, right? Oh no, you can't. All right, don't worry. We're good.
Word.
Yeah. Shalom. What's up, everyone?
Shalom. Let's get it. Y'all know what time it is, man. Peace to the chat. Strength and progression, fam. It's your man Jaguar and Corey Mayo. How coming to you with Atlantis Part 5, man. We coming to give more drop. We're going to pick up where we left off. And of course, more exclusive info, more exclusive books, and higher progression, baby. Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it, man. Shout out to everybody that's been getting the bills on strong, man. I know it's been a while since we've been doing the Atlantis bills, and I know Corey Mayo, y'all did a major fire full of
Yeah.
gem live stream a couple of days ago,
Yeah, it
man.
was fire. It was fire.
You want to speak on that a little bit, man?
Yeah, it was great, man. To have a new and brother James on. A lot of knowledge, a lot of tribal history they carrying and wisdom that they can share with everyone. That was just scratching the surface, and it was a pleasure to have them. It was a good build. It was the people in the chat were loving it, and I think everybody benefited from it. Including myself.
that's right, man. And I just wanted to say, I was present in the beginning, but I had some family members pop up and I really wasn't able to build like I wanted to. So I had to just kind of listen. And I tried to get back in, but you know how it is when you got them cousins that come out of town ready to turn up or whatever, man. They wouldn't give me a break. So, I didn't know it. So just want to do this on live air, man. My apologies for not being able to contribute to that bill, man, because that was something epic and something that needed to be done for the people out here that really see inner truth and real, wisdom from history and from just learning information about where you are and where how you supposed to carry yourself, man. Starting out, of course, with the Bible and stuff like that, man. A lot of people still have a lot of, Bible in them. So, it's just best to help them balance and level with it the best way how. And of course, once you can open, those eyes, because those people are special too, just because they still believe in whatever they want to believe in. Doesn't mean that they don't have a place or don't have, the ones that care enough to listen. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them, but, shout out to James Flame and brother A New Breed and Neppy Winnepakin. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That was fire, man. So I just wanted to give y'all that respect, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, it was a good build, man. And, man, even though you weren't there, we know, you're doing a lot of value for this community and for the people, and that's why we're here today to, continue what, build on what we were building, with Atlantis, and just letting people know what they meant, when they were talking about Atlantis. We're just talking about the true old world, and that's, America right here, Tamari Khan, the Khans.
That's right. And we finna get it in, y'all. So peace to everybody and shout out to the chat, to everybody that's joining in. I'm not actually peeking at it right now because I'm trying to line up everything that we got to show. We got a good bit for y'all. So if you would, please share the video, thumbs up the video. It's gonna get pretty steep. Of course, we always step on toes, but those toes shouldn't have been in the way anyway because we trying to vibe on a higher vibration. It shouldn't be no toes in the air of joy and blissfulness, as far as our energy. So we're gonna start out with the history of America, man. Of course, Corey Mayo on his heavy and heavy deep research that he do found another book, like always. And I guess I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, bro, and get it jumping right quick.
Yeah.
Is it sharing my screen or?
Nah.
Okay, where's my icons?
Hold on, let me take control away.
All right, there we go. All right. Give us a second, y'all. We're finna hop on this book right here that I'm about to share. Matter of fact, we do like to show the titles and give you the authors, of course. This is the history of America before Columbus, according to documents and approved authors, Volume 1, Peter de Roof. And before we get started, because I know what page we on or whatever, but I gotta take y'all to the top, man. This is something, that we gotta spread, man. It's different volumes, man. I know I seen probably about 4 or 5 volumes of this.
Yeah.
And it's a good read so far. Of course, some of these reads are, technical reads. You got to realize that some people are giving their analysis of what they understand through, modern academics now, or, some of these books are very old, like this one. This book is copywritten in like the year 1900, supposedly. It's History of America before Columbus, as you see, according to documents and authors approved.
All right. According to documents and approved authors. All right.
That's right. By P. De Roof. Now check this out, okay? Now, I know people, get into this ideology thing about, people studying and what they under and, what type of field or background they come from. Stuff like that does matter because it gives consideration to what they may be basing their foundation on. But for the most part, when you're dealing with archaeological facts and anthropology, you know, it kind of speaks for itself if you're really dealing with, you know, honest people. And the guy P. De Rue right here is a member of the Archaeological Club of the Land Van Ways and of the United States Catholic Historical Society, honorary member of the American Catholic Historical Society of Philadelphia. Okay, so now I know uh there's some heavily Pan-Africans that's supposed to be Catholic. I ain't gonna say no name, but who would have thought that a Catholic member would actually give some information about American Aborigines? You know what I'm saying? And thanks, like I say, to brothers like Corey Mayo, he found this book. Of course, you see right here, Volume 1, American Aborigines, and we're gonna
And
get right to it.
we know we gotta always, we gotta dodge our own hijacks, when we're reading these books. Obviously, these people have their perspective, right, and their kind of like their opinions and some points of the book, right. They're writing it for a reason, but they also let out a lot of valuable information we can pull out of these books, right. And when you start putting all this information together, it starts telling a story, and it's all leading right here. So that's what we want to show.
That's right. So I gotta do some scrolling down. Or do you already have it marked, bro?
Yeah. Like I can show my screen while you read it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah. If you want to go ahead and
All right.
well, you know, you can share yours, man, and I'll just
Okay.
pick up, you know, off the next page or whatever that we discovered some info that
All
we
right.
felt needed to be shared. All right, bear with us.
All right. We're right here. We're good. You can start reading in. So the descent of, yeah, right there.
All right. So we got here. It says the descent of mankind from a single pair is beyond a doubt. But from this, it does not necessarily follow that the first man in America was not a Tontinus.
Okay. So right there is basically so he's saying, right, that all right. So he's going with the whole Adam and Eve thing, right? And he's saying basically that even though you go with the whole Adam and Eve thing, it doesn't rule out that the first man in America was not a Tatanist, meaning that they were a Tatanist, is what he's trying to say. Just basically, just because you follow the Bible doesn't mean you have to rule that out. All right.
That's right. That Adam and Eve were not created in America, nor even that the Ark of Noah did not land on some one of our mountains. All such doubts were never defined, either by science or by religion.
Boom. So he's letting us know, right? Like they haven't, it hasn't been defined. They haven't been able to prove it or prove it not, right? Like if it's here or in another, they haven't been able to find where this original Eden is or this first land, right? So it's beyond. It's never been defined by science or by religions. He's saying, so why rule it out?
Right. And then you got here, Nadalic does not accept yet records the opinion of recent authors who think that when Europe was inhabited by wandering savages whose only weapons were roughly hewn stone, America was already peopled by men who built cities, raised monuments, and had attained to a high degree of culture.
Boom. I wish I had the DJ Gambler sound effects, man. But
I
yeah,
know, right?
straight up right there.
Come on,
So
man.
it's letting you know while they were over there, in caves and the real savages. We have men here who built cities, raised monuments, and had attained to a high degree of culture. All right, we're gonna keep getting this from different sources. All right, are you reading into these books? Are you doing real research? What is the story telling us?
You know, it's so many. It's so. I mean, look, man, we still finding different authors at different times saying the same thing. Why is this not being taught? How is it that these people have a whole manipulation of telling us what the history is? Well, maybe because we're getting taught by foreigners. And these foreigners have agents. And these agents are telling us, yeah, we come from one place. But yeah, we all know by now. So let's keep rocking, man. It says, besides this earlier American civilization described by Plato, we might find another argument in favor of Adams and Noah's American nationality in the fact that as a whole, the New World Aborigines have preserved a clearer and more accurate remembrance of the great archaic events narrated in Holy Writ than the nations of the Eastern Hemisphere.
Boom. All right, so break that down.
You see what? So this is saying. I mean, they saying clearly that what our people did over here is a way more evidential. Is more substance of evidence that you can say it is here, and you can't doubt that it couldn't that it's not here because it's simply too much clear evidence, and remembrance to the narration of the word supposedly now. So
Yeah, I mean, so they're saying that, they have all their stories on that side, right? But when you look at our mythology, our history, and everything, it actually resembles more the Torah, right, or what's written in the old, as you call the Old Testament, or what he's calling right here the Holy Right, than the other nations of the Eastern Hemisphere. But dodge the hijack, because if you flip the maps, right, we're in the East, right? But yeah, man. So he's letting if you do your real research, you'll see what matches more and where biblical lands would be more, according to if you read people's indigenous history.
that's right. All right. And so it says, okay, even with that, it says, with the only exception of the chosen people of God.
Hmm.
In corroboration of this thesis, it will not be out of place to remark that Greek mythology of the home of the gods agrees with the Hibernian Christian idea of the land of the blessed and the earthly paradise of Holy Scripture being situated beyond the western limits of Europe. Okay, Cosmos and Deicoplustus, a monk geographer of the 6th century, considered Plato's description of Atlantis as a confirmation of the teaching which he ascribed to Moses. Name,
Moses. Who?
okay, all right now, hold up, man. Namely, that the Western continent was the cradle of humanity.
The
And
cradle of humanity.
come on, man. I mean, he's I don't know, and then this is volumes, it's volumes of this. And then he goes to say, and invoking the authority of several holy fathers, he remarked that the ocean divides the whole earth into two parts, the one of which he inhabit. He said, and the other, the first dwelling of man, the ancient paradise situated beyond the waters and reaching up into heaven.
Boom. So the other, right, is basically America, is what they're talking about. The first dwelling of man, the original place of the original man, just like all ancient Egyptian texts say that their ancestors came from a distant western land. Herodotus has quoted that in many of his books, right? They know that, they study that, and so this is that land they're talking about, that other part, uh, you know, and the ancient paradise, right? As we've shown, this is the terrestrial paradise, beyond the waters, as they say, and reaching up to heaven. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about our ancient trees reaching up into heaven?
That's right. It's got to be talking about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the breakdown of this is just like straight to the point. You know what I'm saying? This need to be brought out. All right. So it says it says, okay, into two parts, the one of which we inhabit. He said, and the other, the first dwelling of man, the ancient paradise situated beyond the waters and reaching up into the heavens. The Lindo also places paradise in the New World. H.L. Morgan locates it in the valley of the Columbia River. And Dr. R. Falb fancies that the cradle of man stood originally in the plateaus of Bolivia and Peru. And this is what we've
Boom.
been saying and
All
dropping
right.
the whole time, man. Come on, man.
All right. So what's in the plateaus of Bolivia and Peru? So one of them would be Tiwanaku, right, and the other one would be in Cusco, which is in the you know in the Andes. So we know the history there. We know about Caral Supe. We know a lot about Peru now, right? So, Peru Salem. We know a lot now. So this is correlating with what we've been saying, like Jaguar just said. He fancies that the cradle of man stood originally in the plateaus of Bolivia and Peru.
All right. Come on, man. Rock with us, man. Throw them flames in the chat or something, man. I know y'all in the chat. Don't do that now, man. What's up, man? Bombs,
Because we don't
man.
got the music and the
You know what I'm saying?
sound
We
effect.
gonna spice it up this year more and more, y'all. Don't worry about it. But rock with us,
I
man.
know
You
we
know what I'm
gotta read.
saying?
We gotta read. Sometimes, guys, we gotta read.
Yeah, man. We gotta give y'all where
Nobody's
it's at.
doing it.
And now y'all can say that, y'all got the sources, man. You go back through these videos, through Cornelios and all that stuff, man. Write down these sources, y'all. This is the ammo. You know what I'm saying? this
How,
is
how
what.
many how many books have they read with us all? Like be proud of yourself. You guys have read mad books already.
Hey, we almost and shout out to A1 and AP, man. We almost finished with the whole encyclopedia contributions of the American Indian, man. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Man, come on, man. I mean, let's get it, man. We just almost went through a
Let's
whole
actually
encyclopedia, man.
we should go into actually one of those if we can. Let me
Yeah,
get the
man.
book. Yeah,
Let's
because there's a important part while we I don't know if while you keep reading, I'm gonna go look for it. We can continue reading. Let me get it ready.
all right, hold up. Let me get on my what you call it right quick, man. I was sitting up here still slipping on the thing. But yeah, man. So it's all good, man. We ain't trying to waste no time, man. Y'all know how we do. We coming with the sources. We coming with the info that you need. We gonna research and make sure that it's solid. And we ain't gonna give y'all nothing that's gonna lead you into, confusion or, you know, something that's other than what, the first historians and even a lot of historians are now saying. It's just not being pushed in the public eye. It's not being pushed on television. It's not being pushed, in a lot of media that much. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's coming in the light. The more we crack these codes and give them what they need, it's on, man. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. It says, trying to see where we left off at. Okay. Bam. Okay. It say the latest discoverer of America, Christopher Columbus himself, was convinced that on the northern coast of ancient Brazil, he had knocked at the gate of the earthly paradise. In a
Boom.
in a letter dated February 1502 and addressed to Pope Alexander the sixth, he relates how in a former voyage he had followed a distance of 330 leagues of the coast of Asiatic continent. How he had been compelled to hurriedly return to Spain, leaving his brothers and many men in the midst of privation and danger. But as I returned to them and sailed to the Gulf, where I found boundless countries and the waters of the sweet ocean. Come on, man. Good gracious, man. I'm telling you, that's the letter right there. You know what I'm saying? Let me share this right quick so y'all ain't, I just read that. It's right there in front of you. You know what I'm saying? All right. Then he say, okay, but he adds, I returned to them and sailed to the Gulf where I found boundless countries in the waters of the sweet ocean. I believe and do believe that which so many saints and learned theologians believe and yet believe, to wit, that in the neighborhood was situated the earthly paradise. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? So you know what they're saying right there, man. We're gonna jump down here to 40, page 43. Had some drop in that one. Um, you find that yet in the encyclopedia, bro?
Hey, my fault. I cut off actually.
Oh no,
Sorry.
you good. You good. I was just making sure if you found it yet.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got it, man. I got it. I mean,
Okay
yeah, let's
then.
go.
All right, you go
Yeah.
ahead then. I'm gonna be already on the next page. We're gonna go on this one.
Okay. All right. So this is the inside. You can see it, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So this is the Encyclopedia of American Indian Contributions to the World. All right. The brothers have been all over this book. A lot of jewels in here, and we're just gonna. I'm just gonna go to a reference on real quick, and we're talking about agriculture, right? Because what is the importance of agriculture? If you don't know, I mean, agriculture is basically what helped the first people get, settled down, build their cities and towns, become civilized. It's basically the civilization. So, what did we contribute to the world? Agriculture, right? This is one of the contributions that we did. So, let me just read this real quick. It says Mesoamerican, South American, Andean, and tropical forests, North American, Northeast, and Southeast cultures. Agriculture, the science of cultivating the soil to produce crops, arose independently in four areas of the world, two of them in the Western Hemisphere, in Meso and South America. Farming based on corn, squash, and beans began in the floodplain of the Tehuacan Valley of what is now Mexico, Ocan, in about 8,000, 7,000 BC. At about the same time, manioc and sweet potato cultivation arose in the tropical forests of what is now Brazil and Guatemala. And potato-based farming developed in the mountains highlands of the Andes and what is now Peru. All right, so look at all that so far, and we're talking about 8,000, 7,000 BC, 10,000. That's according to their numbers. All right, so we have to rely on their numbers. Even with their numbers, we're going really back. You're not gonna find this much abundance of fossil records or evidence in that other side of the world. Trust me, go look for it. I have. They keep writing it. Oh yeah, they have this, and they started doing this in Mesopotamia in 11,000 BC, and this and that. But when you go look for the evidence or what they're basing that off, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. We got the fossil evidence and everything. The soil, the cultivation. We got the food, the source. Where they never had that. Again, 600 out of 640 food crops in Africa are from America originally. So you can't say you brought Aki over here when it's poison over there. And thanks to the Arawak brothers in the UK for letting us know that,
Word.
it's just nonsense. It's just nonsense, man. All right, so it's a main dish over here, but it's poison to you guys over there, and you kept bringing poison with you everywhere you went, because there's Aki here in Costa Rica too. All right, so continues, says indigenous people living in the eastern woodlands of what is now the United States independently began cultivating shenanpot, goose food, marsh elder, some sweet squash and sunflowers, erect knotweed, little barley, and maygrass. All seed-producing grasses were also domesticated. All of these plants grew along rivers, floodplains by 2000 BC. Native Americans in eastern North America were planting and harvesting at least 4 of these plants and were well on the way to depending on agriculture rather than gathering for their livelihood. So again, we got to depend on their numbers. All right, so I just wanted to show you that's one of the contributions. This is encyclopedia. Just want to go ahead and read from just to correlate with that, so you can see. All right, let me see. Can you see? All right, so this is the book that Jaguar's been getting into, since part one. So I'm just gonna read a little part from it real quick. Jaguar's gonna get into it deep too. All right, so Atlantis in America, Ivor Sabb and George Erickson.
That's right.
All right, so I mean, look at this wheel toys. Come on, man. We're in Atlantis in America, all right? So, all right, so well, let's just read this real quick. Okay. It says we can compare similarly depicted wheel toy animals in summer. All right. So in summer, some area they're saying, which wheel toy dogs found at Popocatépetl and Barrows in Mexico. All right. So left and right, which one looks better? You tell me. Right one is the from Mexico. The left one is from their side of the world. All right. But same thing. So
Okay, now wait a minute. Wait.
hold
Well,
on.
that
That
is
was that. That's not where I wanted to go, but that was a good. That was a good. All right, so it says here, investigation of cultures at the Guila Natki's cave in the valley of Oaxaca, originally excavated and dated by archaeologist Kent Flannery of the University of Michigan, indicate that squash cultivation was present as early as 8000 BC and perhaps earlier. Not perhaps, we know it's earlier. You
right.
you giving us the minimum. You're giving us a moderate based on your false chronology and what you want to accept as history. All right, we know it's way older than that. Flannery's dates were hotly disputed by traditionalists. They're just traditionalists. They're not factualists. They're just going off tradition. But Smithsonian archaeologist Bruce Smith used an accelerator mass spectrometer radiocarbon dating recently, 1997, confirmed the deliberate cultivation of the cucurbita pepo, a pumpkin, at least 10,000 years ago. All right,
Come on,
radiocarbon. We
man.
got the science. You know what I mean? This would place the redevelopment of agriculture at a minimum of 1500 years after the deluge. Hmm. We just talked about Noah, right? Landing on America or being a native of America. The possibility of the existence of slash and burn agriculture in Belize is now tentative, dated to 9000 BC in Belize, all part of that whole Maya empire, Quiche, Guatemala with Mexico, a date that rivals the earliest known plantings in Asia. It rivals, I mean, again, they're being moderate, right? They're letting us know this is
Yeah.
the East Oriental. We are the Eastern, the Far East, you know. So, you got to dodge your hijack again. You got to really go into how they label things, the East, North, West, what they were calling India, Asia, and what were these places? Ethiopia, all right. Check out Kondrop. He's letting you know, you know. So you got to really understand what they're saying in these ancient accounts when they're talking about, Asia, India, Ethiopia, Atlantis. All right. So that's why we're doing this. All right. And again, it continues. It says, corn always the preferred crop of Americans may have been planted earlier. All right. So you saw my corn videos. Corn proves this is the old world. They have corn all over their hieroglyphics. It's their tree of life in Assyria and Samaria. All right, because they helped them settle down, and there was something that was given to them by the gods, which was you. You're the gods. There are indications that deliberate cultivation existed 32,000 years ago in Brazil. What are we talking about? We talking about the Fertile Crescent in Mesopotamia. We're not talking about Mesopotamia in that side of the world. Did you know there was a Mesopotamia here in Argentina? And it's between two rivers. Did you know the etymology of Mesopotamia means between two rivers? And if you go to the Argentina, you can Google it. Well, let's show them. All right, real quick, if you don't mind.
Right, man. That's right. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is why we here. We ain't playing no games, man. You know. Um, Shout out to Dr. Ali Muhammad, man. I know a lot of people may not vibe with him like that due to how he believe or however he do or whatever. He done got, supposedly accused of some things or whatever, but he put out a video that got put down and you know, hey, if you caught it, you already know. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to kind of keep it balanced and show proper sources with what you stating because, they can try to accuse you of talking, hate or whatever they do, man, to try to flag your videos or take them down or whatever, man. But y'all know how we do. We keeping it pushing. We ain't giving you nothing but straight sources, straight facts. You know what I'm saying? Keep liking the video, share it. We got a good bit more to go. You know what I'm saying? We're going to try to make it too long, but we're going to try to give you a good bit to kind of write down and
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, man. Don't give me too much control, man. I'll make it too long, man. All right. So,
Oh, you good, bro. We good.
all right. So Mesopotamia, right? A country between two rivers, literally, literally. All right, between two rivers. All right. So we got Mesopotamia right here in Argentina. Look at this lush green paradise place. Look at the waterfalls. All right. Now let me show you this. Hold on.
It's beautiful, man.
It's
This is
it's
why you
it's
got to travel and see places, and this is what charges your soul when you can actually go to locations where you might just have a connection to. You know what I'm saying?
okay. So I don't know if everybody can see, but just Google it yourself at some point so you can see what I'm talking about. So there's an area. So this is in Argentina, and I believe next to Bolivia and Uruguay and Brazil, where everything meets right here, Paraguay, Argentina. So there's two rivers, and they go along the side, like the Parana, I believe it's called. And there's another river right here. So this whole area, this is big. I mean, this is like if you put European countries there, they'll probably fit in here. We know South America is huge. You know, you don't trust the maps, right? So we got this whole area right here. I just show you the pictures, right? This whole area is green. It's like this. It's lush, right? And there's a plateau up here in between these two rivers, and it's famous in all the ancient stories here in the indigenous. And there's even, um, I mean, let's just show you, man. We're talking about Atlantis, Bolivia, Atlantis. You know, we ain't making this up. I mean, we're not the only one talking about this. All right, so let me see. I think it's this one. All right, so this guy, I mean, he went in deep with it. I mean, he found canals there, right? And it's in the same area I'm saying, in between the two rivers, the valley, the plateau. So he's been able to find it using so he got it all mapped out with the grid in there, and he can still see the ancient canals in there. So go check this website out, Atlantis, Bolivia. If y'all want to continue with that. All right. So I just wanted to show that real quick. Let's go back to the book. All right. So, I mean, it's all about orientation perspective, right? When you're talking about Mesopotamia, right? Because we got indications that deliberate cultivation of corn existed in Brazil 32,000 years ago. We just showed you what's there in Brazil, Mesopotamia, right? So it says what knowledge was lost and what was retained by these ancient sellers and resellers of Mesopotamia and Mesoamerica. Just look at the word Meso, all right? So yeah, that's what I wanted to show because it's very important to understand that just look at agriculture and I mean they can't dispute agriculture. They can't say no, you know, we started that. That's one of our contributions. You saw the encyclopedia. That didn't come from Mesopotamia over there in the desert. It's still lush where we are.
That's right.
So I mean you can I don't know if you wanna. Just
Yeah,
get on with
I
it.
got some. Y'all already know. We got some more Atlantis drop, man. It's all about keeping the vibes high, man. We finna get it in. I'm gonna take it to right here, man. The Sun Door at Tiwanaku, Bolivia. It says cut out of a single block of stone weighing over 100 tons. The archaeoastronomical sightlines of the megalith have been dated by Poznansky to around 9500 BC, concurrent with Atlantis. All right. So this right here is interesting because me and Corey Mayo found out this relates to another biblical situation. And we spoke of Samson, didn't we? Samson carrying well, let's just go to it. We got in the Bible, of course. Now, I'm not a Bible person myself, but it's just I know that they did put a lot of historical content in the Bible, and of course renamed and relabeled some locations and people or whatever to try to make the story pertaining to who they want you to think that the special chosen people are now, according to the Torah or the Israelites, over there in Europe. So we're gonna go to Judges 16, verse 3. All right. And it says, but Samson got up in the middle of the night and went to the town gate. He pulled the gate doors and door posts out of the wall and put them on his shoulders. Then he carried them all the way to the top of the hills that overlooks Hebron, where he sets the doors down, still closed and locked. Okay. So now,
Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to read sign for so people can so we can continue with that.
right.
So they can get like what we're trying to show. Like first of all, hold on, let me just.
Because you got to be a pretty big guy to you know pick up 100-ton gate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this just according to the story of the Bible.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and
So
then if
so the
you
idea
lining it up,
is
if
that
you lining
he
it up
grabbed the
with
gate, right? So,
right, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is just something lined up because when you look at the area of the gate and how it stands, it's like well, where did it come from? And then it's just putting certain things in correlation. Something that Neppy asked for, something that's put in fantasy, that's kind of in plain sight. But of course, if you wouldn't study or try to really look at these ancient sightings and stuff and really put a geographical map on it, you wouldn't come close. But you got it ready though, bro?
yeah, yeah.
You sharing or you?
Now let me share.
I'll start sharing right quick.
So first of all, I want to just acknowledge again teach me to be priestly. Great brother, great teacher, man, master teacher right here, blessed brother. Modern day prophet, and you put me onto this, and it's him in Jerusalem. Tiwanaku, Bolivia, the city of Hebron, the land of Anak. Why, right? So let's read that article he's reading from Brother Jerusalem, all right, real quick, just so we can get a clear perspective. All right. So, I mean, Tiwanaku, Bolivia, the city of Hebron, the land of Arba, the father of Anak, the father of giants. All right. We know that the Incas say, when you ask them, who built Tiwanaku? They say it was giants. They told the Spanish. I mean, that's part of their legends too. And we just read, right? Samson, he took the gate of Gaza, the city of Gaza, and he brought it to Hebron, right? So we're saying it's Tiwanaku, right? Uh, Jaguar just showed you the gate, right? All right, so we're gonna get into that. So it says Tiwanaku, Bolivia is a region south of Jerusalem or Perusalem, right? So get that drop. My brother, that's Cusco. We're talking about Cusco, right? My brother, who walking in the faith, who goes by the name Teach Me to Be Priestly, told me over the phone about Tiwanaku, Bolivia. He asked how I have heard about the children of Anak. The name did not ring a bell, so I told him I do not know. So he told me that Anak was the father of the giants. He also said that Tiwanaku could be their land. He told me that the name Anak is in the Tiwanaku. All right, so check it out. Anak, right? So Anak. Ooh, when you really study the etymology, this TIW, sorry, it starts almost breaking down to meaning four,
That's right.
or coming from the four sides, or the crossing, or the four winds, as they would say. But when we read on, we'll see what they mean by four. I asked him to spell Tiwanaku for me, so he did, and I seen, all right, so he says Anak. I know that Anak was a name in the biblical account because of its Hebrew sound. So I began searching the biblical account about Anak to see biblical names of the city of Anak. I came across Joshua 15:13. And unto Caleb the son of Jephunneh, he gave a part among the children of Judah, according to the commandment of Hawa to Joshua, even the city of Arba, the father of Anak. So Arba, which city is Hebron? So if you know scripture, Hebron before it was actually the city of Arba, or the city of the father of Anak, and I believe they call it Kidia Bariat, something like that. And I said to my brother, "Teach me to be priestly. You will never guess the name given to the city of Anak." He replied, "What?" I said, "Hebron." And give him the chapter and verse. He replied, "You know they say Hebron is south of Jerusalem." I replied, "Yeah." So they're talking about the whole Cusco connection because it is south of Cusco, Tiwanaku, Bolivia. It's not too far actually. I came across another biblical account that I shared with my brother, teach me to preach. It was Numbers 13:22. And as they ascended the south, all right, so he goes in deep. All right, so basically that's what we're trying to show. Um, so Anak, Anak had three children. If you know the biblical scripture, he had three children, and these were giants supposedly. So with him was four. All right, so if you go again to the word Tiwanaku, it breaks up to four. Anak, Ko. So I don't know if that's land, right? So are we saying the land of the four, or the four giants, or the land of the four Nox, the of Anak's children, or the four giants, right? All right. So dig into that. I got a future video coming on this a lot deeper. We got a lot of correlation, but I'm gonna get into the what Jaguar was just showing you, the gate of the sun. I found something interesting, gate of the sun. So we know Samson supposedly brought it, and put it somewhere else. All right, so the Gate of the Sun in Wikipedia, right, in their so-called sources. All right, it says here, located in next to Titicaca, some elements of Tiwanaku. All right, so it says, let me see. Okay, so it says right here, when rediscovered by European explorers in the mid-19th century, the megalith was lying horizontally and had a large crack through it. It presently stands, so check it out, it presently stands in the location where it was found, all right? Although it is believed that this is not the original site, which remains uncertain. Oh, we don't know where that, it's just a gate there for the aliens. It's a
Yeah.
portal. It's a portal. It's for the aliens, yeah. Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere. We don't know. So why did they have to add that in there? Why did they add that in there in Wikipedia?
Because they know once you really start looking at the geographical locations of where they telling you stuff is at, and you compare it to locations here, if you are able to find them or look it up, it's without a doubt. Like it said in the history of the before Columbus of America, it's clear that the American evidence verifies what things or what took place, in the Bible.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and that's just something, something we want to do.
That's
Because
just a little preview of a future thing, and
yeah,
I owe this to the brothers for letting me, and they encouraged me to do it. So I still owe that to them. Teach me to be priestly in Jerusalem, much respect and love, for the wisdom, that you guys share, and everybody's sleeping on y'all. So. hopefully people start, following you guys and checking out the videos and stuff you guys got.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So we're gonna take it back to the Atlantis in America book
I
by
forgot to mention. I forgot to mention.
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right, hold on, let me show them the image real quick. Yeah, so if you go to this gate, right in the middle on the top, you'll see this image right here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. All right. So these are dreadlocks coming out of him. It's not the sun. It's none of that. They'll say a lot of things. So it's
Yeah.
dreadlocks coming out of him. We know Samson had long hair, right? What gave him strength? His hair, right? We know Samson was a brother, a copper color. We know who the original people were. All right, so he had dreadlocks. All right, this is dreadlocks right here, and you see how he's holding like two things. We know Samson pushed away two gates, right? And he made the temple fall. So I mean, this image right here is deep. All right, so just analyze everything.
Word.
All right.
I'm glad you remember to show up. Yeah, I mean, it's the small things, it's the small things, man. We really gotta just sink in and catch this vibe and show the people, what we really saying, man. This is not something that we just decided to do for keepsake, just to pass time. We really trying to show y'all how this shit is really connected. All right.
Yeah.
So right here we got something with Cortez that I found, man. Cortez was one of those conquistadors that hit down there in the central area of America and did some so-called damage. But let's see what Ivar Zapp has to say about that. He says, all of this destruction of American aboriginals was justified on the grounds that the Spanish were dealing with pagans and idol worshippers who performed the most savage human sacrifices. Cortez chronicler Diaz accused the Aztec priest. Diaz accused the Aztec priests of performing 50,000 human sacrifices a year, of constant drunkenness, and of performing sodomy and cannibalism on their victims. But Cortez himself wrote that he actually never witnessed a single human sacrifice except those of captured soldiers during battle. So what is this accusation of our people being gay and doing idol worship when it's clearly that they are the ones that's doing it? And we've been showing y'all this.
Yep.
We showed y'all this all last year pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And here it is again, somebody else letting you know that these conquistadors were coming over here being savages. All right, but it says, yeah. All right. You had something you want to say, bro?
Yeah, I just want to say to the chat, we don't talk monkey business here. That's it.
Okay, then.
This ain't about monkey business.
Word. Well, let's get it. It says that the Aztecs practiced ritual human sacrifice in an attempt to please angry gods and prevent a cataclysm cannot be questioned. But it is also evident that the Spaniards grossly exaggerated the nature and number of the sacrifices in order to justify their own brutality. See what I'm saying? So it says Voltaire's observation that antiquity is full of the praises of another antiquity still more remote reflects the belief of the intelligent mind and the integrity of ancient myth. It is also described the situation in the Americas that the church had come to face. It was the fear of discovery of this other antiquity, one that could question their creation theory, that drove the Catholic Church and the Spanish crown to minimize the achievements and the antiquity of ancient American cultures. All right. So Here's an archaeologist and anthropologist himself giving you the facts on why our history has been hidden and distorted
Yep.
for hundreds of years now. And now we got agents of our own kind who just can't get it through that they might have or might just be from somewhere else, and they need to go and mind a business and go and deal with they folks and do what they need to do with them instead of dealing with people who really can vibe and know that they family are from here. Point blank, period. You know,
Yeah.
if you coming over here as a man or a woman, just to try to belittle some information that is clearly stating what, the facts to what we've been proving since how who knows how long this information has been out for over 30, 40 years on a solid level. People has just not been putting it out or choosing to push the information because of all this African money making. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep, yep, and UB News, Condra's been letting us know about the chronology, the false chronology we live in, and how they've been breaking it down for us. We know the works of Anatoly Fomenko and other scientists that do real scientific work and research to tell you chronology is false. All right, it comes from like basically two people. One of them is Jesuit, and this was just recently. This was all written recently. Stop following that false his story. All right, that's not your story or what they say mystery. That's my story. So when you say mystery, that's key. That's code. Like I said the other day, there's some code words they throw in there all the time. When you hear mystery, that's your story. Oh, we don't know. That's a mystery. Who built those pyramids? That's a mystery. Yeah, sure it is. All right, that's my story. All right, don't listen to his story. No monkey business here. We're just trying to be, the creator wants us to be with divine beings. With spiritual beings. We're not, we're not coming out of monkeys. That's like 1993 and stuff. So let's get on with the build, man.
that's right. So we got right here a nice picture that I just wanted to show everybody, man. This is actually uh something that they found from a cave. And people try to have their own interpretations about it. People like, oh man, you got on the feds, or oh man, what the world, you look Asian, or oh man, what the world, that don't look like us or whatever, man. Look, man, it's all about knowing the content and the substance of what you're doing. So Ivar Zap spoke on this, and he says this is an Olmec emerges from a cave carrying a dead child. Now, the common Olmec image of a man emerging from a cave carrying live or dead infants has often been characterized as the power of the elite to pass between the spirit and real worlds. Okay, so this picture is some type of secret occult picture, evidently. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And,
yeah.
I done seen it before, and I think it was in some movie, man. I can't remember. I'm into the little movie things. I'll be finding all kind of movies for people to watch and get into. By the way, before we get out of here, I might just give y'all some movies to watch. To build with your family and stuff like that. You got to take out the time to give yourself a break and give yourself some, you know, uh, leeway of thinking, man. You can't be uh constantly thinking all the time. Just sit back, watch a movie, and let it help you remember why you need each other and bond with one another sometimes. But here we go. It says certainly most Olmecs never lived in caves. However, the presence of dead infants in the arms of the saddened Olmec parents may reflect a long memory of an emergence from a time of devastation, just as the myths of Atlantis told of a few survivors emerging from caves high in the mountains. All right, so that was just something I wanted to show, for those that have done a little
Awesome.
research on that.
All right. I got the history. I got that other part here. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah,
Do
go
it.
ahead.
All right. All right, so we're back in the book, History of America Before Columbus, according to documents and approved authors. All right. So it says here, Opmer and others, founding their opinion on Plato's description of Atlantis, think that America was inhabited before the biblical deluge, that if Adam was not created here, Noah, at least, was a Native American. Noah was an American native, an aboriginal from America. So he's saying if they can't prove Adam was, but they definitely Noah definitely was. They're saying they're trying. He's letting you know that before the flood happened, Noah was right here. Noah was right here, and that it would be more correct to say that after the flood, people returned, then came to our shores, and that's what I've been trying to tell you. We had to work our way back, just like James Flame's been telling you how we traveled the whole world, the Mayas, and they came back. All right. The races, however, that lived either before or immediately after the deluge have left but the faintest vestiges of their passage. One of them noticed by the, hold on, learned is called the Dolichocephalus race because a few discovered crania show the anterior posterior longer than the transverse diameter of the skull. These remains were so far found mainly in the valley of Calabazo, Chile, near the Lagoa de Sumidoro, Brazil, and La Plata. The tribes of the Amazon region, wherever they originated, certainly came up from the south into the lands they now occupy. However, diverse now, they are all supposed to be descended from the long-headed Tupis or Guaranis, having displayed an earlier and short-headed race whose skulls are found in the shell heaps of the coast. Their associated fossils are proof sufficient that race was contemporaneous with animals long since extinct and lived according to the discoveries of Mr. Ameghino in dugouts covered in some instances with the glyptodon's scaly frame. Ameghino's reports should further lead us to admit that the Dolichoscelos were a post-Diluvian people feeding on animals, with which they carried on both defensive and offensive war, armed with weapons of flint shaped and sharpened by percussion. Few of these teeth, which they left for the inspection of modern scientists, were affected with caries, but they show evident signs of hard use, and the incisors are often worn to the roots. All right, so he just broke it down how that you can man, right? This prehistoric man that was here before that was here in America before the deluge, you can basically trace them as far back as the animals. They're autochthonous, basically is what he's saying. They're of this land. All
That's
right.
right.
And I wanted to go to page 127 of this book real quick. All right, so because we're talking about Atlantis, right? So not to speak of other ancient authors to whom we shall refer in the sequel, we may remark that the Jewish writer Philo, 20 BC, and and Platonist Crantor were inclined to admit the literal interpretation of Plato's Atlantidic description. Tertullian, 2nd century, and Arnobius from the 4th century agreed with the pagan savant Amanius Marcilius from the 3rd century in admitting the former existence of Plato's island Atlantis. And we have noticed that Cosmos Indisopletus believed our continent to be the cradle of human race.
Come on, man.
Our
Start it, yo.
continent to be the cradle of human race. America, the true old world. All right, America, the true old world. I mean, we've been trying to show you different ways and different sources, different angles, right? Not just by these books, but by the science, the oral history, the mythology. We got living proof. James Flames, let them know. All right. It would not be difficult to find several authors of the first Christian centuries and of the Middle Ages who relied on Plato's narrative in their prophecies of discoveries in the mysterious West. All right. All right. So all these people in those times went off Plato's narrative. It wasn't a myth to them. They knew. They knew about it. They couldn't cross the Atlantic. They keep mentioning in their writings too how it was muddy or something, like they couldn't, there was a barrier they couldn't cross, but they knew it was over there because they believed in Plato's narratives. All right, and they used their as their prophecies. Right, this is the promised land, and Christopher Columbus himself It says here was undoubtedly encouraged by his belief in the objective truth of Plato's Timaeus and Critias. All right. So what is he saying? That Christopher Columbus, all right, as he wrote himself, right, Biblioteca Colombina, he wrote a book called the Book of Prophecies, all right, and he said he's coming to recover the holy city and Mount Zion.
That's
And this
right.
person is letting us know, right, that he went off Plato's narrative. He knew where he was going, right? They sent the right person. We know now that he was a slaver before he came here. His objective was to dominate, take over the kingdoms in the land that was over here, right? We're talking about Prester John's land. Yeah, you know it. And they were able to
Yeah, that's right, man. I think he cut out, but I think what he's saying is, like you say, the Preston John story. You know what I'm saying? A kingdom, a area of royalty. You know what I'm saying? This is what they was hiding in that myth or in that story. You know what I'm saying? That they call a myth. You know, it's all dealing with the historical correlations, and even when you get to the chronology, then a lot more will show reference to what we
My
saying.
fault, man. I cut off.
Yeah, you good, bro. I had it. I was explaining. That you was basically getting into how Preston John is described. How his royal kingdom. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, man. Yeah, basically what I was trying to say is that they knew there was kingdoms and dukedoms over here. That's why they wrote in 1452 to come conquer these kingdoms, take their principalities, enslave them, perpetual slavery, perpetual servitude. We're still in that perpetual servitude. We're still under Roman rule. And that's why this is not just about learning history. We're trying to wake everybody up. This is serious. Like, we got to get out of this captivity, right? This conquered, this invasion. You
that's
know,
right. That's right, man. That's why I'm gonna back that up with some fire that our people can use themselves. That's why and if anybody, like I say, I've been sharing this book in the recent Atlantis vids, so I'm pretty sure the people that's in the chat or whatever already have the book. If not, let us know. We can get it to you or whatever. Great read, man. A lot of it, he giving you what he already know according to modern academics, and what he's giving you what the evidence is saying, though. So he's not biased. You know what I'm saying? This is why this book is a good read, and it's a lot of history and anthropology and archaeology in here. But he got something on Darwin. You know what I'm saying? He goes into Darwin a couple of times, and we don't read on Darwin before. But this is one of Darwin's famous statements that proves that a lot of these people who quote Darwin or don't mind following Darwin is not actually following Darwin, because Darwin himself said that he doesn't really have the evidence. Okay, and we're going to read this here. All right, it says Charles Darwin, 1868. And it says Darwin's famous statement: false facts are highly injurious to the progress of science, for they often endure long. But false views, if supported by some evidence, do little harm, for everyone takes a salutary pleasure in proving their falseness. Okay. It says, reflects Darwin's innate sense of fairness. His inheritors, the neo-Darwinists, who seized on his theory, lacked this sense of fair play. Okay. Led by Ales Herdlicka, which is one of his so-called main followers. It says they relentlessly destroyed the careers of anyone who disagreed with them. And this is something that Darwin never stood for, because he always wanted people to be able to prove and come up with more facts. His theory or his philosophy is his philosophy. He didn't want anyone to just follow what he thought and keep going forth with his ideology of what it was. He let you know he's for the real. And these new people who say that they are Darwin followers are not following Darwin. They're following other agendas.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
All right.
And we know they're part of secret circles, and they'll say whatever, and they believe a different thing because in reality, if you know, just to side commentary here, Darwin actually before he wrote his famous book, right, of bullshit, you know, which he has still followers obviously of talking about apes and all that. But anyways, he went to South America. All right, there's a book called On Board the Beagle. Uh, and the voyage of to South America, Tierra del Fuego. All right, I have the book. All right, so he encounters the Fuegians. These are aboriginal people of Argentina. All right, and he says straight up that when as meeting them, he basically can say that these definitely people, these people are from the original people of the earth, the oldest man on earth. And this is before he wrote his book of evolution. Right. So after his trip to South America is when he wrote that book, and I guess his doctrine and bullshit because he already knew the truth. So what I'm trying to say is, they may act dumb and do their whole scientific and explain why they think they're apes and all that. He can be, because he knows he's basically talking about his. It doesn't mean he's lying. He's talking about his people.
That's right.
And don't include yourself in there. So I mean, if you want to call yourself an ape, okay, all right, you're an ape. You know, he's including himself when he's writing that book. He's talking about his people because
That's
he
right.
already went to South America and met the original ancient people. He said it himself. Go research that. All right, just wanted to say that.
Nah, that's real, man. You know what I'm saying? Got to get that out, man, because people got to look at these perspectives, man. A lot of people just, like I say, man, some people just watch the movie. They don't have use their intuition and put things together. And a lot of people don't know, still, a lot of information that a lot of us do know. So we got to be mindful of that. But I wanted to get this through right quick, man. I got a couple of more things I wanted to show that clearly just shows that, the evidence is real. And, you know, like I say, Ivar Zapp and George Erickson are very unbiased when it comes to the information. And we're finna get into some cave wall paintings. And he speaks of here first. This was right here in France in the Chauvet cave, if that's how you say it or pronounce it. Is paintings at the Chauvet cave, 31,000 years before present. Okay, that's the date for that. And it goes to say, for most of this century, it has been assumed that the more primitive paintings at Chauvet and other sites in France, stick figures and paintings that lack artistic perspective and dimension, and say must have been the oldest, and that Cro-Magnon man's artistic ability must have evolved over the 31,000 to 11,500 years before present. Period. It says in which the paintings were accomplished. All right. It has recently been determined that the most magnificent depictions of horses and lions occurred at least 30,000 years before present in the Chauvet cave. The discovery of the world's oldest paintings. Jean Clocks writes, we now know that the sophisticated techniques for wall art were invented at an early date. The rendering of perspective through various methods, the generalized use of shading, the outlining of animals, the reproduction of movement and reliefs, all date back more than 30,000 years. Okay. But we're going to skip on down. Okay. Because it's another painting that has been discovered all of a sudden, since, some people want to just label things as the oldest. And if you don't do more research and don't study other areas, you might not find out what may be older or what may be younger. So here we go. We got a rock painting at Monte Alegre or Allegra in Brazil. it says reveals handprints, concentric circles, and an inverted figure. An April 1996 article in Science reports several subtropical Brazilian rock art sites in open sites with flake stones, rock painting spalls, and possible hearths have numerous consistent pre-Clovis radiocarbon dates going back to 50,000 years before present. But human present that early has been questioned. Okay. That's what he says. All right. We just read that supposedly, the one in France is 31,000 years, but they saying that this is dated 50,000 years. And they don't want to admit that life was around at that time. So he says mitochondrial DNA evidence has also suggested the earlier dates for man's presence in California going back at least 50,000 years, long before a land-based migration through Beringia was possible. And if linguistic diversity is used as an indicator of man's presence in the Americas, it must be noted that the greater diversity in the languages of native speakers is found far south of glaciated regions, indicating that man's presence there was far earlier. Studies of mitochondrial DNA, genetic material inherited at a relatively constant rate, but only maternally by Alva Hicks, have in fact indicated much earlier dates, suggesting the emergence of modern man in the Americas and not in Africa. This complicated argument.
Yo, pull up, pull up. Hold on. See if DJ Gambler was here, we would have had the sound effect go off right there. Pull up, please.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Flames, man. You know what I'm saying? Just flames. He's not biased.
So what did he just say? What did we just hear?
He let you know have in fact indicated much earlier dates, suggesting that the emergence of modern man in the Americas and not in Africa.
America, the true old world, not in Africa.
Okay. And you can tell by the pictures. I'm pretty sure people looked at the first one and seen, okay, they were saying that one was 30,000 years, and then you seen it was horses or whatever. But this right here, is a more, you can tell it's more ancient and it's more symbolic, just with symbolism. And this is just one of the pictures, man. And it says this complicated argument is still in its infancy, but has been attracting a growing number of supporters. And we happen to be some of those supporters, y'all. So,
I got something to correlate with that.
Let's get it.
No, but if you keep
go ahead, because I was gonna go to the area next, but you go ahead and make this correlation, and we'll just hop on that one next.
Okay. Hold on. All right. So, first of all, let me just show the book. All right. All right, so this is the book Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx by Augustus Le Plongeon, MD. It says the odd sacred mysteries among the Mayas and the cliches. All right, been learning a lot about the cliches, especially recently, thanks to brothers like, well, from way back that I knew, before I knew James Flames. We're talking about Condrop and Hiram Art. And then James just killed it because he's the living proof. He's the descendant of these cliches. All right. So this is actually dedicated to James right here. There we go. He knows what he knows. We've already shared this in the back chat. All right. So we're talking about the cradle of humanity, cradle of civilization. We're talking about that whatchamacallit, Agassiz, talking about the oldest land out of the water. The oldest land out of the water. All right, it was America. That's what he said, and you can find it in Canada. All right, this is the most renowned geologist that has ever existed. He had a school in Harvard and everything. All right, so it says here the Maya sages doubtless had reached similar conclusions since they called their country Mayak. That is, the land first emerged from the bosom of the deep. What? So they're saying the first land that came from the waters, right? If you read the Popol Vuh, all right, I know y'all sleeping on the Popol Vuh, all right. James Flames has been trying to tell you to go read it. All right, King Draw's been trying to tell you to go read it a long time ago.
Yep.
Popol Vuh, you're gonna find, basically the whole Genesis, right? And then a lot of the other stories in the Old Testament, and you're gonna find the same story about the first land coming out, how how all of a sudden it just came out, just like if you read in the first book of Genesis, right? It's like it's very very similar. Talks about everything, how the void, how it was deep in darkness, and then the light and all that. All right, so go check out the Popol Vuh. And as it says here, the Maya, the land first emerged from the bosom of the deep, the country of the shoot. And the Egyptians, according to Herodotus, listen up, boosted, all right? The Egyptians boosted that their ancestors in the lands of the West were the oldest men on earth, all right?
Come
If
on,
y'all really
man.
go into Egyptian, if y'all really about research, past the whole doctrine and the whole group and sorority and all that, all that whack stuff. Um, you know, you would see that these ancient manuscripts, Egyptian papyruses, all talk about a distant Western land. When you read about Thoth, especially, you see that he always mentioned coming from a distant Western land. We know he wrote the Emerald Tablets, the Atlantis. Atlantis, what are we doing? We're talking about Atlantis. We're talking about America, right? Thoth wasn't an American. Atlantis, T-O-T, T-O-T, all right? So again, that Herodotus, has quoted many times that the Egyptians always boasted that their ancestors in the lands of the West were the oldest men on earth. All right, we just read that on the other book from America, not Africa, right? In the opinion of Leo Humphrey and a host of modern geologists regarding the priority of America's antiquity, be correct, what right have we to gainsay the assertion of the Mayas and the Egyptians in claiming likewise priority for their people and their country? It is but natural to suppose that intelligence in man was developed on the oldest continent among its most ancient uh, inhabitants, and that its concomitant civilization grew apace with its development. When at this impulse of the instinct of self-preservation, men linked themselves into clans, tribes, and nations, history was born, and with it a desire to commemorate the events of which it is composed. The art of drawing and writing was then invented. We just read that. The drawings on the wall.
That's right.
All right, we just read that. The incidents regarded as most worthy of being remembered and preserved for the knowledge of coming generations were carved into the most enduring material in their possession, stone. And so it is that we find today the cosmogonic and religious notions, the records of natural phenomena, and predominant incidents in the history of their nation and that of their rulers, sculptured on the walls of the temples and palaces of the civilized Mayas, Chaldeans, and Egyptians, as on the sacred rocks and in the hallowed caves of primitive uncivilized man. It is to the monumental inscriptions and to the books of the Mayas, listen to this now, that we must turn if we wish to learn about the primeval traditions of mankind, the development of civilization. All right,
That's
we're
it.
talking about the development of civilization. We're talking about agriculture. We're talking about building real megalithic cities and pyramids. We ain't talking about that concrete over there, that whole movie stage over there. Thanks
That's right.
UB News. Thank you UB News for letting us know. All
Keep
right.
it out there, man. That ain't nothing but some Roman uh what they call that?
Yeah.
Limestone.
Yeah. Conglomerate something concrete, something like that. All right, you look it up. And the
Mhm.
events that took place centuries before the dim myths recorded as occurrences at the beginning of our written history. That's where you got to go look. Didn't we just say go read the Popol Vuh? All right, again, this author's letting you know. You have to go into the books of the Mayas. You have to turn there if you wish to learn about the primeval traditions of mankind. We ain't talking about the Sanskrit, Hindu, none of that. We told you the other day, right? Buddha, his first name Guatemala. His mom's name Maya, Mayak, the Maya, motherland that just came out of the primeval waters. We just know. We know what Mayam. Do you know what Mayam means in Hebrew? It means waters.
Hmm.
It means waters.
Get them with it, didn't you?
Historians, when writing on the
Man,
universal history
fire.
of the of the race, have never taken into consideration that of man in America and the role that in remote ages American nations played on this world stage, and the influence they exerted over the populations of Asia, Africa, and Europe. All right, you know, and I'm telling you, James had not read this book when he was telling us in the back chat all this that I'm reading. He told us how the Mayas went from here to the rest of the world, in what order, and how they came back, and how they built the pyramids. That's why, all right, I got something to show y'all. Let me just show y'all something real quick, real quick. All right, just this image. All right, can y'all see that? Can y'all see that?
Look at that, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
What you talking about? Dragon Kings. We're talking about Plum Serpent, Quetzalcoatl, Feather Serpent. We're talking about Dracons, Kandas, Negus. Now what they call you? Negro. And what's the other word now? You know,
Yeah.
Nagas. That's you. That's you. The Khan dynasties, the first people, cradle civilization. Right. This is what you did around the world. That's why it's similar. All right. And just another little image, just real quick. All right. Check out that.
That's right. You
All
know,
right.
and that's you know what I'm saying. This is just come on, man. Like if you seen the images, you know, at the beginning of the show, you know,
No, we're gonna get to that. Yep.
it's so much that correlates and similarity that shows that there was a certain connection going on with a group of individuals, a family thing, a nation thing. Whether the phenotype had a little difference, you know, there was some interaction going on, because just like I could say, all Aboriginals ain't for Aboriginals. All white folks ain't for white folks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to look at who you can vibe with on at the end of the day when it comes to being in the likeness. Of course, we're gonna share some of the same features and phenotypes. We're gonna vibe off the same music. You're gonna vibe off the same foods. You're gonna share some energy, some kind of way. Either way, when you connect in any way. So most of the time, you're not gonna deal with someone that's not like you. So it just speaks for itself, man. We everywhere, and we had different shades. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, man. Let me just continue with that book real quick because it gets good a little better too. Says, all right. So still, as far as we can scan the long video of the past centuries, the Maya seem to have had direct and intimate communication with them. This fact is indeed no need revelation, as proved by the universality of the name Maya. All right, listen to this, which seems to have been as well known by all civilized nations thousands of years ago, as is today that of the English. Thus, we meet with it in Japan, the islands of the Pacific, Hindostan. All right, the real name of the ancient India. It wasn't called India, it was called Hindostan. Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, Equatorial Africa, North and South America, as well as in the countries known to us as Central America, which in those times composed the Maya Empire. The seat of the government and residence of the rulers was the peninsula of Yucatan. We're talking about Joktan, the land of Joktan, descendant of Eber, Yucatan. Wherever found, the name Maya is synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning. Again, wherever found, the name Maya is synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning. The existence of the Western continent was no more a mystery to the inhabitants of the countries bordering on the Mediterranean than to those whose shores are bathed by the waves of the Indian Ocean. The whole world knew about you, Naga, the Nagas, the land of Prester John, the Western Ethiopians, right? The Hesperides, Atlantis, Paradise. That's you, the gods, where the gods live, where they had the corn, they had their land, and they had their buildings and cities. Says Valmiki in his beautiful epic, the Ramayana. You see the word Maya, Ra, says that in times so remote that the sun had not yet risen above the horizon, the Mayas, great navigators, terrible warriors, learned architects, conquered the southern parts of the Indo-Chinese peninsula and established themselves there. All right. So I,
Boom.
I guess that would be enough for this book, so we can
That's
not get off
drop.
too much off subject. But
Nah, that was right in line because this we gonna I guess we'll end them with this, man, because it's right in line with what you just read, man, and it's another, coming out of the Atlantis is America, man. We got archaeologists who discovering things, and like I say, man, it's about getting to it, and we already know that there was a museum. I think what was it in Brazil or something like that? They got burnt down not too
okay,
long
yeah,
ago.
yeah. So we, a lot of brothers, and I touched up on it in one of my videos. We talked about Lucia, right? Lucia, the oldest person found in Brazil, in South America. And
Right,
they did the whole forensic science model, expert. He's the most renowned forensic science scientist in England, and he did exact model of what the person looked like. And copper color, right? And he undoubtedly, he said it in the documentary Ancient Americans, right? He said this is not a Mongol, what people will call a Mongol, or and this is actually a Negro, what you would call a Negro, right? And then all of a sudden, the museum that's housing this exhibit burns down, the whole museum, after standing for more than 200 years. And we know that museums are built to preserve art, to preserve things, and they're built with safety measures and emergency scenarios and all that. And if you see how it was burnt down, that's arson. And deliberately, they probably still have it, somewhere locked up, but they just didn't want people to keep going over there and asking. And it wasn't that exhibit, it wasn't just that exhibit. That museum had so much American indigenous evidence, like Lucia and things that shows us this was the true old world. And
right.
they just like, nah, man, let's just say we burn it down. Just that's the only way to have them not come here. So that's how real it is, for real. Israel, Israel.
That's right, man. And like I say, we doing this just to keep the elevation high and keep our people uplifted and to let you know that it's good to stand for something before you fall for anything. And
Yep.
why not stand where you at least? You know what I'm saying? Because we clearly showing you that our type of people, our kind, you know what I'm saying, have been all over building things, showing you, making our mark anciently, letting our ancestors let us know, look, this is our area too. That's our area too. The three kingdoms, the Prester Johns. He just showed you the three Indias. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
we're gonna get right here, man. And then this is a photo of Arthur Erickson, at Lu Lubatum in Belize. And they showing a nice site, man, where basically they tried to destroy it, but everything they can't destroy. You know what I'm saying? And this just shows how much
Yeah.
power and how primitive, advanced, and how we use a lot of natural sciences that was considered our form of technology. You know what I'm saying? We might have had a few chariots floating around or something. Who knows? But it's really just getting to, what's still here and what we can find. This is why the artifacts, the archaeology, and the anthropology is a must to know for our people. And everybody don't have the time or whatever. I try to make time, and I apologize for holding up these bills and stuff like that. But I have a family, I got a life. Sometimes I like to just talk and be able to make things happen for real instead of on YouTube. So we're gonna keep it rolling right here, man. And he says we can compare Lubantum and other sites where stones are precisely fitted without the use of mortar to, it says, three windows in quote, at Machu Picchu, dated by archaeoastronomy to 2300 BC, called a ceremonial center by traditional archaeologists. There is strong evidence Lubantum was a navigational center built long before the rise of classic Maya cultures.
Boom, way before that. So that's Machu Picchu, South America. Oh no, that's Belize. Where
Yeah,
is that?
in Belize.
Wow.
And it's, this right here is jumbled rolls of stones at Lubantum. It says, although archaeologists claim it was destroyed by an earthquake, local Maya tell of its destruction by looters who dynamited this site in the early parts of this century. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
No,
peace to the chat. Peace to everybody in the chat for being there. I hope y'all enjoying this, man. This is like, I wish I had this years ago so I can, man. This is a good thing we're doing. I appreciate Jaguar for wanting to do this because these are a lot of subjects that I just can't get to. There's a lot of information, and so it helps that everybody gets does their part. And Jaguar's big on this and getting this put together. All right, so I appreciate him. Appreciate everybody being here. Make sure if you're not subscribed, subscribe to Jaguar and follow him. Everybody in the chat that has YouTube channels, support them, support everybody. All the info, this is all info that we got from a lot of people. So we're just gathering it all together. Basically gathering it all together. And this is the drop right here.
that's right, man. And we still got ways to go. This is only the third chapter, and it's really about the Clovis man and the Clovis points that they find that were so-called saber-toothed tigers and mammoths and all type of ancient animals have been found with these points and weapons of the Clovis man, which is basically an ancient nation of people who were very primitive and highly advanced on killing humongous animals. Who knows? These people may have been, at a more massive size than like we said before. The trees was larger, the plants was probably larger. And anytime it's more of anything, it can create something bigger anyway. But who knows? It's still areas that we still haven't even visited yet, that they haven't still visited yet, just like them finding the 60,000 plus pyramid structures and temples in Guatemala. And then you talking about them still finding stuff in Peru and in Brazil and Argentina and stuff like that, Colombia. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget about up here. We still got our mounds and hidden pyramids and covered underground systems and ancient railroad systems and highly advanced farming fields that they still trying to keep and act like that they've been upholding, and when they really just duplicated a science that we've been doing for,
Yeah.
if not eons. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, dating and everything, we're going to get to that. He has a part in his book where he talks about carbon dating and how the calibration is off, and they know that it's off, and they don't want to use the second way of the calibration because it's more accurate. But They want to use the first because it helps their narrative of the Beringius theory and the out of Africa theory or whatever, man. And it's nonsense. It's only to get money and promote more mind control and help obliterate people.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
And
it's just about us still uniting and connecting, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you know, as far as our people here in the Americas, you know who you can vibe with. Don't second guess yourself. You go against your benefit of a doubt. That's going against yourself. You know what I'm saying? Start using more of your instincts. Be more free. This is the year of abundance. Be more free. Travel more. It's time to connect. We're supposed to be uniting even more. Get more personal with those who you can vibe with. Like I say in the chats, let's keep spreading. Let's keep the fire going. Let's keep the info spreading. You know, there's plenty of info out here. There's plenty of channels. You know what I'm saying? Corey Mail done found probably over 400 and 600 books. I done only found like 40 or 50. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he been doing it a little longer than me, but I mean, you
we,
know,
we
it's
got we got for the family because this is available for everybody. We got 657 PDF books
come on, man.
so far. All
True
right,
good references.
and every time I open one, there's some other drop in it that they've been hiding from us. Right? It's not that they didn't write it down or anything. Most a lot of time they did. They just a lot of it's being held from us. Even though it comes in a certain perspective of the writer, right? But we can get the like Drop says, the babies out, get the babies out of the water, the water. All right. I wanted to go back to the book real quick. I just wanted to show everyone
Yeah,
something.
go ahead.
All right, man. All right, check this out, man. So, cause just gotta keep correlating. All right, so we're further on in the part of the book, in this book, the Queen Moon and the Egyptian Sphinx. All right, if you missed the drop, the live the other day, we talked about in this book also talks about how the Sphinx, what it really is. What is the real? What is the Sphinx? All right, go back to that building, go cash that, go get that drop. All right, so it says here we left off before we went to the other book that they were great navigators, right? They were saying how they great, the Mayas, that being likewise great warriors, they conquered the southern parts of Hindustan. It says here, all right. So this is that story of Valkyrie about the epic of Ramayana, all right. And it says once they got to Hindustani or India, right? Peninsula and established themselves there, that being also learned architects, they built great cities and palaces. All right, I just showed you the pyramids that looked exactly the same as the Mayas, right, in that area. All right, these Mayas became known in after times under the names of the Navas, and are regarded by modern historians as aborigines of the country, or Nagas, as we shall see later on. All right, so that's deep right there. All right, so Davana, the Danavas. So is that Danawa with the wa sound? Danawa. Dawit. Are we talking about Dawit? The Dravidians, Drakons? What are we talking about? Nagas? Of these, J. Talboys Wheeler in his History of India says the traditions of the Nagas are obscure in the extreme. They point, however, to the existence of an ancient Naga empire in the Deccan, having its capital in the modern town of Nagpur. And it may be conjectured that prior to the Aryan invasion, the Naga Rajas exercised an imperial power over the greatest part of the Punjab and Hindustan. The Nagas, or serpent worshippers who lived in crowded cities and were famous for their beautiful women and exhaustless treasures, exhaustless, were let me see, doubtless civilized people living under an organized government. All right. Indeed, if any inference can be drawn from the epic legends, it would be that prior to the Aryan conquest, the Naga Rajas were ruling powers who had cultivated the arts of luxury to an extraordinary degree and yet succeeded in maintaining a protracted struggle against the Aryan invaders. Again, the Naga, they told you Mayas, right? These are the Mayas, and they were considered the aboriginals of India. So these Mayas who landed in that part of the world became the Aboriginals, meaning there was nobody there before that. Where did they come from? Right? The original place from here. They migrated. The people migrate out of here. That's what we're telling you. All right. And now you can, if you do real research, that's where it's gonna keep constantly showing you. All right. You got to keep following, following. All right. Let me just get a little bit in here real quick because we're talking about old world. All right. So it says, let me see. So it says that among, oh, so I guess it keeps talking about them keep moving, right? So they went among natives islands, then along the shores of the Indian Ocean and those of the Persian Gulf to the mouth of the Euphrates, up that river to Babylon. They're talking about Mayas traveling there. The renowned city of the sun, thence across the Syrian desert to the valley of the Nile, where they finally settled and gave the name of their mother country to a district of Nubia, calling it Mayu or Maio. All right, and I did find that. I did the research. I did find that in ancient Egypt, that town. After becoming firmly established in Egypt, they sent colonists to Syria. These reached as far north as Mount Taurus, founding on their way settlements along the coast of the Mediterranean, Sidon, Tyre, the valley of the Orontes, and again on the banks of the Euphrates to the north of Babylon in Mesopotamia. All right, so who went all the way to Mesopotamia? Mayas. It says Mayak, that is the land that first arose from the bottom of the deep, was the name of the empire whose sovereigns bore the title of Khan, serpent, Khan, American, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, all right, American. Why? The empire whose sovereigns bore the title of Khan, serpent, spelled today Khan, Khan, like Genghis Khan, Khan. We just talking about Prester John or Juan Khan, Juan, John, King Priest. We're talking about the Snake Kings. We're talking about Quetzalcoatl, Plum Serpent. All right, so it's called Khan in Asiatic countries. This title given by the Mayas to their rulers was derived from the contour of the empire, that of a serpent with inflated breasts, which in their books and their sculptures they represented sometimes without wings, as the Egyptians did the Uraus, the Uraeus, I guess that the snake eating its own tail, right? Symbol of their country. All right, so you see the origin of that. Elian says it was the custom of the Egyptian kings to wear apes of different colors in their crowns. All right, so it keeps going. This is as far as I'm gonna go in this book, in this build, but I just wanted to show people, there's a lot of different
That's
studies done by
fire,
a lot of
man.
different people, and this guy actually has all this info because he was in Chichen Itza and he did excavation there, and he did very thorough excavation and scientific research, and he read the tablets. He tried to translate them with the local people there, some of them, and looking into the codices. So he explains why he's saying all this and where he's getting the story from. And it matches exactly with what James was telling us in the back chat from his oral history, from the elders, the cliches, from the elders in his family and the people, his tribal association from that goes way back to Guatemala. All right, so this is, you know, the seals are open, is what I'm saying. It's time to realize how great you are. All right, Khan. All right, Khan, my Khan. All right, so we can continue, I guess. Much fault.
Oh no, nah, man, you good, man. You helped me out because you know how the fam is, man. We gotta get these babies ready to lay down and stuff. So the
Yeah.
little she always want to make noise when I'm live, but it's all good, man. We gonna hold some info for the next build, man. I know I always say soon, and I apologize for that, but we definitely, we definitely can do it soon though, because I got time. I got some things out of the way, and I really am trying to get the info out to the level where we can really, get the fire in us to apply ourselves in ways that is working as a unit in one accord as much as possible. Not saying like we all got to be doing the same things, you know what I'm saying, but just really uniting on a mental, spiritual, and physical level to where we are progressing some kind of way. Whether it's commerce, law, just community work, anything, man, promoting each other, however, festivals, I got some ideas about some things. That's why I say I want to get with some people. Hit me up, hit up Corey Mayo or whatever. I plan on seeing some folks myself, on real time. So appreciate y'all and much love, man. It's been an honor just being able to share this information, being able to build with guys like Corey Mayo, James Flings, A1, AP, you know, Con Drop, 432 Nation. I'm still listening to him, catching up with vids myself. It's a lot more people, man. Like I said, shout out to Dr. Ali Muhammad. They took down this video. I know he gives a lot of views that may be considered on conspiracy base, but I like how the brother has his sense and what trying to establish, and he is trying to push forth that we've been here and we've been standing strong. So salute to that brother. But that video was taken down. Salute to Dane, man. He came out with a nice production on
Yeah,
the
that was
history.
good. That last video. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the people need. You know what I'm saying? A nice clear view, a nice clear sound, and crisp, you know what I'm saying? Information, man. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that brother, man. And shout out to Phoenix Moon, them doing what they do. Hopefully everybody can really unite and get stuff together on a higher level, man, and really, appreciate one another and just carry on. So we ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. I gotta get the children laid down, and I gotta get my oldest son home, and it's on, y'all. We still rising. It's early in the year. It's starting out great. Now it's easy to tell who's who and who's what. So it's easy cakewalk now, y'all. It's time to have fun. Let's meet up and let's do it. Straight up. So salute to y'all and much love and peace, y'all. Straight up.
All right, yo. Peace out.
Peace.
Hawa bless.